interesting introduction. We have an interesting show today, a bit different from what we have been having every Thursday. We'll get back to it later on the program. But this morning, we have a special guest who is at the forefront of shaping the broadcasting landscape in Nigeria. Joining us today is the esteemed zonal coordinator of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, NBC, an organization dedicated to regulating and overseeing the broadcasting industry in our great nation. I know that in the course of our discussion on the front page review, I've heard you say, what does the NBC want from us? Why don't they want people to talk freely? The fear of NBC is the beginning of wisdom for radio stations and all of that. But today we have in the studio the zonal coordinator, the NBC zonal director, Lagos, is the person of Dr. Chibuike Vincent Ogumike. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. Now, to begin the conversation, I have lots of questions for you, but I'll try to just make it brief because of time. Now, the first question is, as a zonal director of the NBC, can you provide an overview of the key responsibilities and function of the NBC in regulating the broadcasting industry in Nigeria? So for people that don't know what the NBC is all about, you're about to find out.
Yeah, thank you very much. National Broadcasting Commission is established by law to regulate, control. Let me make it as brief as possible.
Okay.
Let me make it as brief as possible.
Okay, great. Now, how does the NBC ensure that the broadcasting organization adhere to set standards and ethic in their content production?
Yeah, NBC as a regulator, the broadcasters and the commission establish what we call the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. And that code states the standard of broadcasting in Nigeria. It spells out the do's and the don'ts in the broadcasting industry. And that code serves as a manual for all broadcasters to ensure that you do the right thing. Because broadcasting generally is a sensitive business, because one flimsy comment you may make on air today may make Lagos ungovernable, and nobody wants to dabble into such acts. And in doing that, NBC is there to watch your back, the back of the broadcasters. NBC is not just there to license the private broadcast stations. NBC is equally there to license government stations, control the government stations, and regulate their activities.
Fantastic. So NBC is the big brother of you got NBC.
We are partners.
Yeah. Okay. Partners.
We are partners in progress.
Great. Okay. We would like to know the measures that NBC have put in place to address issues like fake news, hate speech, and harmful content dissemination. Want to know the measures that NBC has in place for such?
Yes. The measures are clearly spelled out in the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. And that code spells out the do's and the don'ts in the broadcasting industry. A chapter is dedicated to the ethics of the profession of broadcasting. And we try as much as possible in the code to define what hate speech is, what constitutes hate speech, and how you go about it to avoid hate speech. And in doing that, NBC over the years have seen it as an issue, and I've tried as much as possible to address that issue so that our broadcasters will not engage in hate speech, and the listeners or your callers will not engage in hate speech, because we don't want a situation that will endanger the life of Nigerians in such a way that you make inciting comments, you make inflammatory comments that can jeopardize the peace and stability of the society. And that is exactly what hate speech try to avoid. To call you not to engage in hate speech, so that you don't make inciting and inflammatory comments that are injurious to the good of the people.
You talked about hate speech, insightful comment. A lot of our callers on the program I don't think a lot of them know what hate speech is or insightful comment, because you hear them say, "I'm just speaking my mind." Let me say that is the truth, because that's the truth to them. So how do you know that this is hate speech? This comment you are making is insightful. Can you throw light on it without making hate speech or insightful comments, so that we will really know what that is?
Yes. There are some comments you make to target a particular set of people, to target them in such a way that you now see them that you actually hate them. And you talk about the gender. There are certain way comments you make about our female gender, for example,
Yeah.
that is injurious to them, and that can be targeted as a hate speech. We have so many tribes in Nigeria. Like, Nigeria is a multi-ethnic group, and when you now target a particular group and make a comment that is negative about them without proper clarification, that becomes a hate speech. And the same thing with even I've made issue of gender, I've made issue of religion, and I've made issue of our ethnic nationalities. So those are things how you can be able to know what is hate speech or what is not hate speech. Like, somebody is a criminal. A criminal is a criminal. Why must you tag that criminal to one particular society or one particular ethnic group?
Okay.
A religion is religion. Why must you put a negative tag on a particular religion against the other? Somebody that is a female, no, you should be able to define things in the proper perspective without actually pushing a negative influence on a particular gender, religion, or ethnic nationality.
You know, someone sent me a message and said that, Mary, in an egophobic society, he said Nigeria is an egophobic society. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, look at what's happening in Nigeria. MC Oluomo made some comments during the election, some threats, and he carried it out because we saw what happened. And then another Igbo man, I think one Igbo chief, Ohaneze or something like that, I can't remember his name, also made some comment and is cooling off in Kirikiri there and in prison. And then El Rufai recently made some other comment and he has not been arrested. So someone called and said that, why are we, if it's an Igbo man, they would have. When someone makes such comment, how do you classify this kind of comment? Me, I usually say, do you have facts to back it up? Or, okay, don't say that, we are one Nigeria. Say, no, Mary, let me say the truth. Let me talk. So how do you navigate such situation?
Right now, I think my center point is broadcasting.
Yeah.
And when you now bring security issues,
yeah, no, the hate speech, the insightful comment. I want to know, is that an insightful comment if a caller calls in and is making such statements?
What I'm saying is that a criminal is a criminal, no matter the ethnic nationality of that criminal. It's a criminal, but attacking it that Igbos are criminals becomes a hate speech. Are you getting what I'm saying?
I'm following.
Yes. And when you now also go to the point of a religion, you now tag a particular religion on a negative side, it's hate. Or when you now bring an individual or an institution into that level, it becomes hate. And I don't want to bring to the light that some people will always tag NBC on that side of hate in such a way that you only see the negative aspect of what NBC is doing, where NBC is carrying out its statutory responsibility. So what we are saying here is that project people in the right perspective, and the society will be good for all of us.
Good. Thank you for throwing light in that, because I wanted to clarify. Now, you also, I think in another interview I've heard someone from NBC had with a station, he said that those that operate online platform and even YouTube, where you put out your content, that they need to have license too. Are they regulated by the NBC? If you're on YouTube, if you run your own channel on YouTube or other platforms?
NBC is established by law to regulate broadcasting.
Yeah.
And what you are doing in YouTube has aspect of broadcasting. So it should be regulated. And one important thing about regulation is the issue of registration. And registration, when we talk about licensing, registration, it has the process so that that person could be identified, that person could be located, that person can be, you can easily reach out to that person. It's a process. And when we now talk about, it's for the good of all of us that you have a business that you are running in YouTube, that you can easily be traced, you could even be reached, and all that. That's the process. Nobody is saying that the regulation that you have in mainstream broadcasting is what we have in online broadcasting. No.
Okay.
And the regulations is a different kettle of tea altogether, because the way you regulate your radio now, the terrestrial radio station, is not the same way you regulate the online radio station. But these individuals must be identified. These individuals could be traced in case there's anything again. I think that's very important.
Okay, great. Now let's come to you as the zonal coordinator of NBC Lagos, and you've been serving for more than 3 years in Lagos.
Yeah.
Thanks to you. We are here because we have someone. We have you, the whole process, and we would like to know some of your milestone in Lagos as you prepare to move to Abuja. So let's talk about you, Lagos,
Yes.
broadcasting. We have a lot of radio. I think we have more radio stations and broadcasting houses in Lagos than any other state.
Exactly.
So how do you manage? How were you able to manage all of that?
Lagos is a commercial nerve center of Nigeria, no doubt about that. And broadcasting in Lagos is very dynamic, and Lagos is very unique. And I must tell you that Lagos is a center of excellence. And when you have all that at the back of your mind, regulating Lagos becomes something that will apply a unique approach. Because in applying a unique approach, you have close to 60 radio stations in Lagos. You have about 14 television stations in Lagos. I'm not talking about pay subscription to monitor them. You must devise a way to regulate them, and you must devise a way of ensuring that they do the right thing. And for me to do that, I must give kudos to God for giving me the strength. I must give kudos to my colleagues in NBC in Lagos Zone for working day and night, because once you are air for 24 hours, somebody is equally there to watch your back, to listen to your content, evaluate it, and analyze what you are doing. And at the same time, I must give kudos to the broadcasters themselves. One good thing about Lagos is that we have professionals. Lagos broadcasters are professionals. I've been into so many other zones. I've worked in so many other zones, but people here are core professionals. They know what they want to do, and they know what they want to achieve. And we have retired broadcasters in Lagos too, who help in monitoring the stations in such a way that at the beck and call, they will give you a call. This station is not doing what they're supposed to do, and all that. And we have a vibrant audience in Lagos that can keep you on your toes. That this station is not giving them the right quality service. It becomes part and parcel of regulation. What I'm trying to say here is that regulation is for everybody. Regulation is not for NBC. Regulation cut across. The government is there, the police, the security services are equally there, and the general public are the media practitioners. Most often what we are trying to do is that the media practitioners should embrace self-regulation. And we have our other government agencies like ACRON, that's Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria. We have NAFDAC. We have so many other people who are into the business of regulation. And you know that advertising plays a very important role when it comes to broadcasting. And there's that synergy between NBC and ACRON to ensure that the vibrant Lagos market will not overwhelm our broadcasters. Because before you ask me about my challenges, the challenges has always been Lagos is a commercial nerve center. Over 70% of the breaches committed violations committed by our broadcasters are centered on commercials because everybody wants to make money.
Yes. Want to
And
make
in
money.
making that money, my sister, you must make it in a legal way. Must make money in a way that you don't infringe in another person's right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these are some of the high points of Lagos. So Lagos is a very vibrant environment. And the most important thing when you are regulating Lagos is that you need to know your environment. It's very, very important. Because I can't keep an appointment in Ireland now. I am telling you that in the next 30 minutes I should be in Lekki and other. How will you do that? How will you maneuver yourself? So you try as much as possible to understand your environment and see how you can maneuver and enjoy your environment.
You've done that quite well. What beats my imagination is how specific you are sometimes when you're making correction or analyzing a program. You usually bring it verbatim. You're so specific, like you listen to every I's, every A, and every dot, and it's quite impressive.
Thank you.
The work that you've done here in Lagos. So now you're moving to Abuja. Abuja is a different place. So I would like to know your expectation. I would have loved you to remain in Lagos, but so that we'll continue. But I would like to know some of the big moves you're going to be making when you get to Abuja as the Zonal Coordinator of NBC.
Yes, I'll be operating from the Director General's office as the Director of Special Duties. Director of Special Duties entails that anything special you can handle it. So I've tried as much as possible to coordinate the office of the Director General to make his work as simple as possible and to make the commission move forward so that we can coordinate the zones and the staff and our stakeholders so that we can easily do the job of regulation the way it's supposed to be done. I think the essence is for me to add to what others are doing already in headquarters and for us to have a seamless approach when it comes to broadcast regulation in Nigeria.
Okay. Now, as you are leaving Lagos, I'd like to know the words of advice you have for journalists, presenters, broadcasters, radio station owners, the media owners. What advice would you like to give them for the smooth sailing of their radio station, of their program?
Yeah. First of all, my colleagues in the broadcasters, I will commend you guys to always remain professional. Try as much as possible to be very close to your code, the Nigerian Broadcasting Code. You won't run into any problem. And the operators, I would say that, yes, broadcasting is a social business, not for that money-yielding business. They should try as much as possible to know that the social angle of broadcasting is very, very important. And we also need to cooperate with one another. All stakeholders need to come together because Lagos, mostly the Lagos audience, are very vibrant. They know their stand in every issue. Try as much as possible to continue to give them that quality service. And that's the only way you can remain in business. And for us in NBC, we will continue to be fair to all parties and at the same time to be firm in our regulation.
I know you're going to say that. Firm.
Yes.
No, you're sounding so calm now. But
Yeah.
a letter from you is not as calm. Someone seeing you're sounding so calm, but the letter from NBC is not.
Let me correct that impression. We've had a lot of interactions with the management of every station. We are almost interacting every time. NBC cannot just wake up one day to issue you a query. NBC will not just wake up to issue you a fine. But it's unfortunate that you will only hear the other side of NBC when there is a query or when there is a fine. There are situations that NBC commend the broadcast stations for doing a very good work. During COVID, I know the role of the broadcasters played in Nigeria, mostly in a vibrant environment like Lagos. For us to overcome COVID, the broadcasting played a vital role. We are on air every time, and we, the regulators, we are equally on air with you. So you guys are doing a wonderful job, but continue to do that work professionally. Lagos is ahead of every other state in Nigeria. So here is where broadcasting is done.
And you are living here now.
I'm not leaving Lagos.
You're going to Abuja.
I'm going to Abuja for higher responsibility.
Yeah.
But I assure you that I'm always with you here. And we'll continue to interact. We'll continue to see to the progress of broadcasting in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking
Thank
with
you
you.
very much.
In case you're just joining us, we've been talking about regulating broadcast in Lagos, and we've been joined in the studio by Dr. Chibuike Vincent Ogumike. He's the zonal director of NBC in Lagos, but now he's moving to Abuja, but he's still in Lagos. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much. The program is not over yet. We have something coming up for you. You know, every Thursday we talk business, and today it's not going to be, they're not going to be any exception. So we're going to be talking about how to help your business survive in a crowded or competitive market. So after the break, we'll talk about that. Keep it here. We are the voice of the people,